Hey there, it's Kathlena, and oh my goodness, it is so cold, my fingers are ready to fall off. But that's okay, I have the perfect solution for us. We're gonna fire up our ovens and get to baking cookies. Now, these are not just any ordinary cookies, these are going to be amazing, special cookies that we are going to be using bison tallow to make. You can see I've got beautiful corn-free ingredients, including truly corn-free water, because guess who gets to eat these? That's right, this gal. These cookies are so good. Mind you, I am pretty biased, but I think they're so good that if you're in a position like mine where there are very few things that you can really share with other people, these cookies are something you could share with other people, and they will take a bite and they'll kind of look at you and just look at the cookie and just say, dang, that's delicious. Like, you made that from these few things? Yes. Yes, we made that from these few things. Now, a very special note for you today. Normally I include lots of different swaps and substitutions, things that will work. Today, there are none. These are very special cookies that have been incredibly engineered to just work. We're going to be using things that, when you start messing around too much, you start breaking things. So we don't want to break anything. With that note, let's get started. The first thing you're going to do is take your tallow and you're going to get it into your oven. Or on the stovetop. Basically, you need to melt it down. I like doing a gentle melt in the oven. You can see this is empty now. In fact, let's see if the oven is done. All right, check this out. Okay, so my tallow is now this liquid gold. Be careful with the pot, it's hot. And we're going to use this in our cookies. I've got my melted tallow, which means now we have to move quickly because it's so cold here that if I don't move quickly, our tallow is going to start to get a little bit solid. Now, today I'm going to be making a triple batch of cookies. You can do a single batch. In fact, the recipe is for a single batch. I love batch cooking and freezing and getting ahead. And I took the time to test these cookies. They freeze and thaw beautifully. Like, oh my goodness, it's amazing. I will say fresh does taste better because fresh cookies always taste better. You could experiment with freezing just the cookie dough. Like you would pre-shape it and then just freeze it as little discs that are just ready to be baked. But for me, I just like freezing whole cookies. What's really great is that once you thaw these, they still have that classic crispy edge thing, It's fascinating and amazing. So I'm gonna get the sugar loaded up and then we're gonna get the oil in and we're gonna get those mixing together. Okay, you'll notice it creates like a crumb. This does not cream the way it normally, if you've made cookies before and you cream your butter and sugar, this does not cream the way you would expect. You get a crumb, and that's what we want. So now we will move on. Going to add the salt. And I'm just using the Redmond salt. You can also use the Celtic sea salt. That's also a truly corn-free salt. And I am working on the kitchen scale, so it looks like I'm just dropping in an arbitrary amount, but I'm actually measuring. Now I'm going to add the vanilla. And just add that all over. Okay, now I'm going to add the almond flour. I'll be using natural almond flour. It's important to know that natural flour is not the same as blanched. I've not tested this recipe with blanched because I don't do as well with blanched almond flour, but you're more than welcome to test it out, see what happens. And you can see our bowl is pretty full. This is why I love having the giant 8-quart bowl, not gonna lie, because you can get away with seriously double and tripling your recipes. Okay, last step. We are going to get the mixer on and we're gonna pour our water in. This is room temperature water. It's important that you not use super cold water because if you do, it will essentially like force your tallow to set. And some of my tallow is already set because it's so cold. I'm gonna mix this on high speed for just a few moments. And while that happens, I'm going to prepare the tray with parchment paper. Okay, this is what your cookie dough should look like. And it is a little bit of a wet dough, as you can see. Okay, and you're just gonna scoop cutesy little scoops. And you're gonna pop them right on your tray. These cookies do have some spread to them because of the tallow. So I have found that on this half sheet size tray, which is basically considered like a large baking tray, you can comfortably get 12 on a sheet. You can get more, but then they run into each other. And as long as you're cool with, you know, running cookies, then it's not a problem. The last thing I like to do is take a little piece of parchment paper, and this is just to keep my hands clean. Just give them a little press. Not too much, just enough to encourage their shape and spread. Plus, if you don't do this, you might end up with cookies that are a little too, I don't know, what would you call that? A little too big in the middle, and then it's more like doughy. For this particular cookie, I don't suggest it. I'm not saying you shouldn't try it. By all means, try it, see if you like it. I just know this is how I like my cookies. And I'm a bit of a cookie expert. Like when it comes to really out there, minimal ingredient, Kathleen safe cookies. Like, I feel like it's safe to call me an expert in that. Okay, we're gonna get these in the oven, and I'm just gonna keep baking and baking and baking, because again, I made a triple batch. And I'll see you in a little bit. Oh, look at those! Okay, let me show you what you're looking for. So you can see, especially on this cookie and this cookie, there's just that little tiny touch of browning happening. What we're gonna do is leave these for about 1 more minute, maybe 90 seconds. Let them get just a touch more brown, and then we'll pull these out. All right, let's get these out. Okay, they look so good. See that browning? That's what we're going for. Okay, and now we just get the next tray that's already prepped into the oven. It's important that you allow the cookies to cool on the tray for at least 10 minutes, at least. So basically I just keep going from tray, oven, I just keep going back and forth. I'll be doing this for at least an hour. Okay, I'm almost through with all the batter. It's been a while. What we're gonna do, I'm gonna show you guys how to make a really cool hibiscus infused version of the cookies. So I've got my sugar already in the bowl, and I've got melted tallow here. Just going to pour that all over. And we're gonna get these mixed up together. Okay, the process is going to be exactly the same. Going to add my salt and vanilla. May have added a little extra. Next up is flour. I created an amazing hibiscus concentrate. It's basically just water and hibiscus flowers. So over here, we're just gonna get this mixing on low speed. And then I'm going to be adding my hibiscus concentrate. And I'll use this in place of the water in the recipe. Okay, this is what it looks like, and something I want to draw your attention to. And this is why, if you can, you want to work with room temperature water. Because what happens is, see that big chunk of tallow in there? That basically just kind of sets on impact from the coldness of the liquid. So what you'll do is take your cookie dough scoop and scrape as best as you can. And then what you'll do is use a spatula and get that all mixed in. Ideally, you want to have your tallow well distributed throughout the cookie dough. So I'll scrape all these edges and get everything mixed and then get this onto a tray and we'll get these baked up. It's been a day. Wow. Okay, so got a whole bunch baked and I've still got a little bit here, a little bit here, got this. So probably at least one more round through the oven, maybe 1.5. I freeze all of these. So what I do is I just take a tray and as soon as I'm done with all the trays and all the cookies have cooled, I'll just lift this up, pop it right on the tray, stick it in the freezer. Once it's frozen solid, you can transfer it to a freezer baggie if you want, or just leave it and eat off of the tray. If you're like me, you take a couple a day and you just sort of eat through your stock until it's all gone. This is it. Let me show you guys. So this is really what you're going for in terms of coloring, right? If it gets too dark, it starts to taste a little bit off. I'm not gonna lie to you. You can taste tallow. Like if you don't like the taste of tallow or the smell of tallow, do not make these. Like please save your money and just cook with it normally and do your thing. If you're okay with it, go with it. I will say, I have trialed the North Star bison tallow. It did not work for me. I also really could not stomach the smell of it. And I don't know if I didn't stomach the smell because I can't even eat it. Like it made me sick. Whereas this one, it has a more neutral smell, but it definitely does not smell as neutral as say tiger nut oil, which is not a tree nut. It's a tuber root vegetable. We all know the story there. But when you bite into these, let me do it so you guys can really hear. Ready? Let's see. Hear that? That's what you're going for. It's amazing. Now, I've made these kinds of cookies without tallow, and it still works. But you end up with like more of a brick. The tallow creates this softer texture. It's crispier without hurting your teeth like that, like really bite through. So it's almost like the difference between a biscotti, not that I've ever eaten one, but what I think a biscotti is versus like a standard cookie. That's with and without tallow. So the tallow creates a texture it's really amazing. I don't know how else to describe it. Could you do this with butter? I don't know, because I've never had cookies with butter before. Given my food allergies, I genuinely don't know. This is all I know. So this is what I can tell you works. And you might be wondering, like, could I trade this? Could I trade that? I genuinely don't know. I've engineered these cookies to work like this. Plus, almond flour is very finicky, even on a good day. So you have to be careful when you're making these kinds of swaps and cutting things and whatever. I'm just gonna keep baking, and then I'll get these in the freezer. And that's it. If you have questions, let me know. The recipe's on the website. I hope you get a chance to make these and so that your friends can come over and join you with cookies and literally just say to you, dang, that's delicious. I'll see you next time.